You check your savings account balance every morning, sometimes twice. You know the number by heart. It sits in your mind like a security code. Then, something happens. The car needs a repair. The dentist finds a cavity. You transfer money out. And even though the transfer was necessary, even though you had no choice, your chest tightens, your stomach drops. You refresh the balance again, as if looking longer will make the number climb back up. It does not. You feel exposed, naked, like you just stepped outside without armor. You tell yourself it is fine. You tell yourself this is what savings are for. But the feeling does not listen to logic. It just sits there, heavy, until you can put money back. This looks like financial responsibility. It looks like good habits. But if you look closer, it is something else entirely, something that has nothing to do with the actual number in your account. Let me say this gently. You are not controlling. You are not paranoid. You are not broken because a necessary expense ruins your day. What you are is someone whose brain has learned that the savings balance is not just money, it is a measure of safety. And when that number drops, your brain registers it the same way it would register a predator stepping into the clearing, not as an inconvenience, as a threat. That is not a character flaw. That is a survival mechanism. Your brain is trying to protect you from a world it learned a long time ago cannot be trusted. And the fact that the threat is imaginary does not make the fear any less real. Here's where this shows up most clearly. You have been saving for months. You are proud of the number. Then your rent increases, or your water heater breaks, or you book a flight to see family for the holidays. You watch the balance fall below a threshold. Maybe it's a round number. Maybe it's 3 months of expenses. Maybe it's simply less than yesterday. The moment it crosses that invisible line, you feel sick. You start mentally cutting everything. No coffee out, no new clothes. You consider selling something. You think about picking up extra work. And all of this is for a drop that rationally you know you can absorb. But rationality does not live in the part of the brain that is screaming right now. The behavioral concept here is something called loss aversion mixed with safety signaling. Loss aversion means that the pain of losing $1 is roughly twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining $1. Safety signaling means that your brain treats your savings balance as a proxy for how secure your life is. When the balance is high, your brain sends a signal, you are safe. When the balance drops, the signal flips, you are in danger. That flip happens instantly. It does not consult your budget. It does not check whether you still have 6 months of expenses left. It just reacts. And the reaction feels terrible because your brain is not trying to make you feel good. It's trying to make you act. It wants you to stop spending, to earn more, to rebuild the wall. The anxiety is not a bug. It's a feature. An ancient feature designed for a world where a drop in resources meant literal starvation. You learned this somewhere. Maybe you grew up in a household where money disappeared suddenly. A job loss, a medical bill, a divorce. You watched adults panic when the number got too low. And your young brain made a rule. Low savings equals danger. Never let the number get low. That rule worked. It kept you careful. It kept you saving. But now the rule is too sensitive. It treats a $500 drop the same way it would treat a $5,000 drop. It doesn't know the difference between a real emergency and a planned expense. It just sees the number go down and sounds the alarm. You are not anxious because you are bad with money. You are anxious because your brain is still using a map from a different country. But here's where the part most people miss. The anxiety you feel when savings drop is not about the money you lost. It's about the time you will need to replace it. You worked for those dollars. You said no to things. You waited. And now, in one transaction, the waiting feels wasted. The anxiety is the echo of all the small sacrifices you made to build that balance. Every coffee you skipped, every night you stayed in, every time you watched a friend go on vacation while you stayed home. The drop in savings is not just a number, it's a reminder that your effort was fragile,
that the world can undo your progress in an instant. That's a painful realization, and your brain tries to protect you from that pain by making you avoid any drop at all, even the ones that are fine. The brain does something unexpected here. It starts to treat the savings balance as the goal itself, rather than what the savings are for. You saved for security, but somewhere along the way, watching the number grow became its own reward. The number became a source of comfort, a daily reassurance. And when the number drops, you're not just losing money, you're losing that daily reassurance. You open the app and the smaller number feels like a betrayal. You check it again, hoping you misread. You do the math in your head. You try to remember if there was another withdrawal you forgot. The compulsion to check is not curiosity. It's a search for proof that you are still safe. And until the number goes back up, you won't find it. Your relationship with this pattern will change over time. In your 20s, a drop in savings feels catastrophic because your savings are small. Every dollar has a name. In your 30s, you might have more saved, so a drop hurts less, but it still hurts. In your 40s, you might have a mortgage, kids, aging parents. The stakes feel higher. The anxiety shifts from running out of money to letting other people down. The same drop that terrified you at 25 feels different at 45, but the feeling underneath is the same. That hollow sensation of watching a number fall and feeling like you're falling with it. The habit does not disappear, it just finds new reasons to exist. This behavior is an emotional regulation strategy. It reduces your stress by keeping your savings high. But more than that, the act of checking your savings balance reduces your stress. Every time you look and see the number holding steady, you get a small hit of relief. The relief says, you are still safe. The world did not collapse today. That relief is real, and your brain learns to crave it. So you check more often, not because you need the information, because you need the reassurance. Think of your savings balance as a locked vault. The vault keeps your money safe, but the act of checking the lock, of rattling the handle, of making sure it's still closed, that's not about the money, it's about the feeling of control. The vault is a buffer between you and chaos, and when the balance drops, the buffer feels thinner, even if it's still plenty thick. The anxiety is not a sign that your buffer is gone, it's a sign that you've been leaning on the buffer to feel okay. And when it changes, even slightly, you wobble. So here's where we land. Not with a budget, not with a rule about how many months of expenses you need to feel safe, not with a lecture on emergency funds or dollar cost averaging, just with this. You are not anxious because you are weak. You are anxious because you have seen what happens when safety disappears, and you swore that wouldn't happen to you. That anxiety built your savings. It made you careful when others were careless. It protected you, and it will keep protecting you. The drop in savings is not a failure. It's a transaction. The anxiety is not a warning that you did something wrong. It's a memory of a time when you had nothing. That memory is heavy, but it's also honest. You don't need to stop feeling anxious when savings drop. You just need to stop adding shame to the anxiety. The shame says you shouldn't feel this way, but you do feel this way, and that's okay. The number will go back up, or it won't. Either way, the part of you that watches the number, that cares about the number, that fights to keep the number safe, that part is not broken. That part is the reason you have savings at all. And that part deserves a little gratitude, not a lecture, just a quiet thank you for trying so hard to keep you safe, even when safe looks like a number on a screen.